Hey everyone, it's Colin. How's it going? There were a variety of ways to get on the internet in the 1990s, from ordinary computers to purpose-built appliance devices. But for those who wanted to surf the web and not deal with the complexities of a PC, there was a unique and surprisingly long-lived alternative. I was loaned a Sony INT-W200 to check out. It's labeled as an internet terminal, but it's perhaps better known as a WebTV set-top box, and was released in late 1997 for about $300 US. It came from a time when interest in exploring the internet was exploding, so manufacturers saw lots of opportunity beyond building typical PCs, which had become a low-margin business by that time. Instead of hooking up to a computer monitor and sitting on a desk, though, WebTV was meant for the living room. This Sony model came with RF, composite, and S-video outputs, so it could work with a variety of TVs, regardless of their age, and included pass-through AV connections so you could still use your VCR or cable box. An infrared remote control replaced the mouse, and a wireless keyboard was an optional $50 accessory, but one that understandably proved pretty popular. Services like America Online and CompuServe were often one's gateway to the internet. They provided their own content like news and entertainment information, in addition to allowing access to the wider web. WebTV was very much the same, offering a tailored experience to subscribers along with an email account, which itself was a big draw to the platform. Email alone was likely the primary driver for keyboard accessory sales, and the set-top box included a parallel port so you could hook up a printer as well. Unfortunately, it's difficult to demonstrate the WebTV interface these days. This Sony unit only offers dial-up networking, and the WebTV servers facilitated general web browsing by reformatting pages to work better on a TV screen. But thankfully, an episode of the Computer Chronicles from 1997 included a nice overview of the platform. I'll include a link in the description if you want to watch the whole thing.
This is your homepage. You designed it for a PC
right,
with a standard browser, but we've done a lot of work to make it.
So you've enlarged the fonts a bit so it works better on a television set.
Exactly, and laid it out well so that it fits within the bounds of the TV.
And it's TV, so I might be, 10 feet away sitting on a sofa somewhere.
It really is the couch potatoes user interface.
Sony wasn't the only manufacturer of WebTV hardware, though. WebTV got its start in Silicon Valley in 1995, and while Sony was interested in licensing the technology, it wanted exclusivity for the first year. Negotiations between the companies dragged on, and eventually Sony lost interest, but suddenly came back to the table after learning that WebTV had signed a deal with Philips, which was a major competitor. The first generation of hardware from Sony and Philips launched in September 1996, selling for around $350, plus another $20 a month for the WebTV service. While initial sales were modest, the technology caught the attention of Microsoft, which ended up purchasing the company in early 1997. WebTV would stay as a separate division, but now had financial stability to grow and improve its product, instead of having to rely on finicky venture capital. Despite its competition with PCs as a way to access the internet, WebTV never really advertised the specifications of its hardware. Since most of the processing work was done by the servers it dialed into, the set-top box didn't need to be a very powerful device. The INT-W200 has a custom CPU based on the MIPS architecture with 8 megabytes of RAM, 8 megabytes of ROM, and a 1 gigabyte IDE hard drive for content caching. Original WebTV boxes featured 33.6 modems, but this model stepped up to 56K. Microsoft was branching out into entertainment, and WebTV evolved to include some media-centric features. Called WebTV Plus, compatible hardware like this one had a TV tuner and offered a programming guide. If you had cable TV service that required an external box, the included IR blaster was able to control it to change channels. And the service also introduced so-called interactive TV, where one could get more information about a show or movie while watching it, though this never proved to be all that popular.
So it really draws you into the show, making believe
So
it's
again, this is the
real.
kind of thing where normally I'd be watching TV and they say, oh, go to CBS.com or something, go to the website to find out more about this.
Right.
Instead of having to be on my computer and watching my TV over here,
Right.
I can do the same, all of it together on the TV
It brings it
set.
together in one experience with a remote control.
Over time, the role of the WebTV division grew. It was involved in designing digital video recorders for satellite TV companies Dish Network and DirecTV, and apparently even had a hand in developing the Xbox. A short-lived video gaming tie-in was a Japan-exclusive software release of WebTV for Sega's Dreamcast. It took advantage of the console's ability to run Windows CE, and since many owners already had a modem or network adapter, no additional hardware was necessary. The platform was also forward-thinking. The set-top box included an expansion port on the side for future accessories, though none seem to have ever been launched. Another ultimately unused feature was the smart card reader on the front. The plan was for it to facilitate easy internet purchases by having one simply insert their chip-enabled credit card. But this never came to pass. The turn of the millennium brought an even bigger focus on accessing the internet, and WebTV saw competition from other companies that offered so-called internet appliances. They usually came in the form of an all-in-one unit that resembled a PC, but these ultimately ended up failing as the cost of a basic computer fell dramatically. One could have expected WebTV to falter as well, but interestingly, it didn't. WebTV quickly realized that younger people would gravitate towards PCs as those had more features and capabilities, but older folks, who perhaps had never even used a computer before, would be much more familiar with the concept of using a remote control and their TV. Because it was a lockdown ecosystem, it also eliminated the risk of viruses or software corruption, and ultimately offered a simple yet reliable experience. WebTV even leaned into this with its marketing, taking out ads suggesting that the service would be a great gift for one's parents. The company did get a bit overboard with its claims, though, saying that it could do everything a PC could online. But since it was an inherently more limited experience, this got it in hot water with the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, with which it had to settle a lawsuit. In 2001, as a way of solidifying its branding, Microsoft changed the name to MSN TV. It also dropped both Sony and Philips as hardware manufacturers, turning to RCA as its sole provider. These newer set-top boxes added Ethernet support, which meant they could take advantage of a home broadband connection, perhaps useful in a multi-generation household. But otherwise, the service largely stayed the same. By the mid-2000s, most people had become familiar with the concept of using a computer, so MSN TV's subscriber base was shrinking. The internet had become friendly enough to use without the training wheels that the set-top box provided, and around 2009, Microsoft stopped hardware sales. A few users maintained their subscriptions even though we were well into the HD TV era and the hardware only supported standard definition. But in 2013, Microsoft ended the service for good, and somewhat curiously, just before the launch of the Xbox One. The story of WebTV isn't a very thrilling one. It carved out a niche for itself, small enough that no one else really tried to compete directly, yet it also didn't succumb to the hubris that killed many other .com tech companies. It simply offered a solid product until there was really no one left to use it. And that was a relative rarity, not just then, but even today. So it makes it bittersweet that WebTV was fondly remembered, but easily forgotten. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. You can follow me on social media at thisdoesnotcomp, and as always, thanks for watching.